Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to Wake Up with Edie Darling. I'm your host and ambassador of peace, Edie Darling, and I truly count it a joy and a blessing to speak life into your life. For the first time listeners out there, and for my valued and growing listening audience, I want to thank you for tuning in weekly. Before I get into today's inspiring episode, I would like to personally thank my husband, Chris Guay, for constantly encouraging me to walk out my God given purpose. And I also want to thank the sponsors of this show, WUJM 99 Jams, The Berg, Groove Hub Nation, and Craig Daniels for their support. And to you, my listening audience, my desire is to awaken you to the awareness and knowledge that we are not alone. We are family, regardless of our race, our ethnic background, our cultural differences, our religious beliefs, our political affiliations, our sexual orientation, whether we are rich or poor, we are one body. What happens to one impacts the lives of all. This show builds bridges of compassion for God's diverse people through faith, hope, and love. It encourages you on your journey to do more and be more in God. It will inspire you and motivate you to think outside of tradition and prepare you for your greatest potential on becoming a well rounded individual in mind, body, and soul by focusing on the here and now, the new day that you have been blessed to see. For the time is now to awaken your dormant gifts. This show also actively seeks to bridge the gap between community and law enforcement relations by bringing the community, leaders, citizens, and law enforcement together at a round table of peace to address any issue that negatively impact our community, impede the safety of all, inhibit investigation, hamper police relations, and tear at the very fiber of our human condition and jeopardizes humanity. Now, on today's episode, I have the esteemed honor to have across from me someone I consider to be a sister and friend, City of Clearwater Councilwoman Kathleen Beckman. Kathleen was born and raised in Michigan. However, she and her husband Bryan raised their three children in Northern Illinois. It was there Kathleen served as a public high school English teacher. After retiring, she and her husband Bryan moved to Clearwater, Florida, where she continued her commitment to public service. She not only serves as a councilwoman, but is a guardian at Litem with the Pinellas County Courts, serving as a voice and advocate for children who have been removed from their homes due to abuse or neglect. Kathleen's work in the city includes serving on regional boards, represents her many passions, advocating for Clearwater residents and neighborhoods, our environment, small business innovation, housing solutions, and driving down costs for city operations, businesses, and residents. In her free time, she enjoys reading, cooking, biking, hiking, and spending time with family and friends. She loves to engage with residents and conduct frequent walk and talks with residents to not only share a conversation, but to get some exercise. Good morning, my sister. Thank you for coming on to Wake Up with Edie Darling and for introducing yourself to our listening audience.
Good morning, Edie. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you this morning. Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, so let's get into it. Tell us a little bit more about your background. I know that you grew up in Michigan, but you raised your family in Northern Illinois. But tell us, our listening audience, a little bit more about you.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Michigan. I am incredibly fortunate to have a wonderful family. I have two younger brothers. My mom and dad were amazing parents. We didn't have a lot, but they just showered us with love and security. And happily, they're both still alive. They're
Oh my
82 years
goodness.
old. And my dad. My dad served a couple of years in the Navy after high school. Both my parents lost their moms when they were younger, which is kind of interesting. My dad's mom had cancer. My mom's mom died in a car accident, so I never knew my grandmas. Um, but my dad, after high school, tried college and it didn't really work out. So he went into the Navy for a few years, came out, married my mom, went to college on the GI Bill, had me right away. So they had a little baby going to school. My mom worked for Michigan Bell in Michigan. and just kind of struggled to make ends meet. And finally, my dad got a degree in social work and political science. He worked for the state of Michigan, was a lobbyist for the governor, became director of the Department of Labor and chair of the Public Service Commission. He went to law school when I was in middle school and got his law degree. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom and kind of took care of the neighborhood. We lived in a neighborhood, multi-generational neighborhood, and so we took care of some of the older folks around us. We we were with them as they lost a spouse, that buried a spouse, and supported them. We had children in the neighborhood. She was a stay-at-home mom that babysat kids in the neighborhood, teachers' kids, and others, and just really phenomenal role models. As I look back on, it takes a village
It does.
to just to empower everyone.
So your dad really, and your parents just
Mhm.
laid a foundation for you to not only serve, as you saw your father serving our country and serving the community, but that was instilled in you to want to do the same. You became a teacher.
I did. I did. Yeah. My mom volunteered in the schools after my youngest brother got into school, so she was a teacher's aide, and I think being the oldest and the only girl, my
Hmm.
two younger brothers, I was often known as kind of bossy, and we'd play school in the
Yeah.
basement, and I just loved teaching and learning and kind of being in charge.
Yeah.
And so, following my path into public school teacher was natural, and I loved it.
Yeah, and then so you retired and you wanted to venture into finding a location, and it brought you to Clearwater,
It
Florida.
did. Beautiful Clearwater. We were fortunate to retire fairly early. We chose Clearwater as a location because of it's a beautiful city. We love to be outside as much as possible. And in northern Illinois, where we moved from, we came from a couple of winters of 40 below zero polar
Woo!
vortexes, and it was like that's enough. And so we chose Clearwater as our home. We thought friends and family from up north would want to visit us here. It was convenient to the airport, and it was a real welcoming community, and so that's
And
why
you
we
came here
chose.
in 2016 and began your search of how you can get involved.
We did. We really did. We moved into our townhome and spent some time making it our own, and started to engage with the community. Like, how are we going to help out? What are we going to do with our time? And that's when I started to take the classes to become a guardian ad litem,
Hmm.
and I've enjoyed that immensely. We started to learn our community, and speak before the council about things that were important to me,
Hmm.
namely our sustainability plan, some development issues, safety issues, and that's kind of how I got involved. I say we because my husband and I have been together since we were 15 years old,
Wow.
and we're true partners, and
Yes,
we share values, obviously, as a married couple, and
absolutely.
we advocate for similar things, enjoy similar things, and so it's kind of this group effort. Yeah.
So, I find it interesting that you first started off as the guardian ad litem, but really that what that's all about is being a voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. And that has transferred into wanting to be a voice for the community.
Absolutely, it is. And in being a guardian and litem and working with case management and sitting down and really understanding people and their challenges, you start to learn more about the community for sure. And you want to advocate for positive change to help people who may be struggling with housing or may be struggling with addiction or trauma or other things that I might not have been faced with as a public school teacher when I was teaching every day. Certainly we had students that were challenged, but when you're in the community looking for opportunities and resources for families, you become aware that we might need to do better.
Right. Most people, and this is just the truth, who go into retirement, they feel like, what? I've done my time. I just want to enjoy life and, not be actively involved. But you did different. And that is commendable that you wanted to look at what you could do in the community to be an advocate of change or an ambassador of change, or just all of those things. So let's talk about that for a moment. So then you sought a seat for councilwoman. Okay, tell us about that one.
Yeah, I did. I did, Edie. Never in my life would I have imagined I would run for public office. But, in speaking before our city council a number of times and not seeing the needle move too much, and researching, who has run in the past, have there been seats that have been unopposed, and, learning more about that system, decided, you know what? I can run. I
Hmm.
don't see anyone else stepping up with similar values to run. And so why not? It's
Yeah.
like, why not you? And
Hmm.
so give it a try. And so I did. And I'm proud to say I won my race with nearly 49% of the votes out of, there were four candidates for seat three, and I won. We have a plurality, so whoever has the most votes wins, and I certainly did. And I worked very hard for those votes.
Hmm.
Our strategy was, knock every door. It is having conversations with residents, with voters on their front porch, learning what's important to them, and that's what I've continued to do as an elected official.
And that's powerful because when in the introduction, when you say that you do the walk and talks, that's very important because people need to know that they are heard, they are seen, and that the person who's going to be in office is actually going to do what they say that they're going to do while they're there. And so let's talk about that for a moment, okay? What accomplishments do you feel that in listening to the citizens that you've done?
I'm most proud of, my continued engagement with residents.
Hmm.
So I feel I got elected because I did have that incredible engagement with residents, listening, understanding what their concerns were. And I continued that as an elected official. So immediately I developed a website. I'm the only council member with a website. I have an digital email that I compose and distribute every month to residents, highlights what's going on in the city, highlights businesses, highlights people you should know. I love that section where I highlight just change makers and unique individuals in our city. Um, and most importantly, it really invites residents to engage with the council, with the city about issues that are important to them, whether it's our strategic plan, our comprehensive plan, weighing in on what they want to see at Coachman Park, in our new amphitheater, all sorts of things like that, where it's important to have residents at the table. So I'm super proud of that. Also proud of cutting cost in the city. And, there's a number of actions that we've taken to do that. Number one, I voted in favor of lowering the millage last year that saved residents up to $1 million, or it saved the city $1 million, which was
Hmm.
passed on to residents. Also, we've contracted with a consulting firm called Synergistics, which works with us to reduce our energy consumption in the city, saving the city operating costs millions of dollars that again gets passed on to residents in the form of, it can be in the form of cost management, but also more longer hours of operation at libraries or rec centers, or more money for sidewalk repairs, things that residents will uh, notice every single day. And the third thing that I ran on was transparency and accountability. Super proud of that, in that, we have measurable goals. We've attached measurable goals to our Green Print sustainability plan, and our new city manager is committed to dashboards, which are publicly facing web pages, or web pages, yeah, that will report to residents what's going on in each department of the city. So we're on our way to doing that as well.
One of the things that I heard that stood out so powerfully for me when I sit across from someone who does serve our community is transparency.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people feel like things are hidden, but you're saying, you know what, let's put it out there. If I'm gonna serve you as a leader, you need to be in the know. That is so important for people sitting on the other side of the table who wants to know that you're gonna be transparent. Why do you feel that's very important?
You know, Edie, I think that's the most important because transparency leads to trust. You can only build trust by being transparent and honest with people. If there are things you don't feel comfortable talking about or that aren't ready to be talked about, you can simply say, I'm not ready to comment on that, or we don't have a decision made on that yet. But all in all, you need to tell the truth, and you need to make decisions in front of people. You need to have conversations on the dais. And that's our city manager form of government. We don't have the luxury of having conversations behind the scenes, and none of us functions as a strong mayor or in a strong mayor type of government, in that it's really department directors and our city manager that bring forth recommendations to the council. And so for us to work through those decision-making processes, we need to do that in the public. We don't need to have backroom conversations.
Right.
None of us, there are 5 council members, has any special power, any more vote than anyone else. And so we really need to be collaborative and consensus building. And that takes time, but it's crucial for trust from our residents, our voters.
You know, I'll say it this way, that for citizens is very powerful. And I know we can't make everybody happy, Kathleen. There are going to be those individuals that are out there that feel like, oh, the city isn't doing anything for us. But the vast majority of the citizens know what you're doing out here. And how does that make you feel, to be able to be a voice for the community? How does that make you feel?
I am so honored and humbled and proud and motivated to do as good a job as I can because of that trust, and because of the ability to reach out to all those people and hear their voices and bring that information back to my decision making. It's just, I love it. It takes an incredible amount of time and dedication
and courage.
And well, I guess
no,
so.
sis,
Yeah.
It takes courage.
Well, to have difficult conversations or conversations with people who don't agree with you, and that's okay. But I believe there are almost always points that you can agree on. And so I might not be the perfect candidate for everyone, but if people know I am transparent and I am working very hard for them and I am doing my best, I think that's most important.
But you're not done, right? No. So, this is the part that I'm so proud of you, right? You not only walk the walk, but you talk the talk, but you encourage others along the way. But you decided that you're going to do something. I'm not going to say it. What did you decide to do?
Edie Darling, I am a candidate for mayor of the city of Clearwater.
That is, my heart just warms hearing you say that. It really does. Tell me why, in the last minute or so, 2 minutes or so, tell me why you decided to do that.
I'm already doing the work of a mayor, working to build consensus and collaboration. But I think what's most important in the mayor's position is to set that bar high for resident engagement, resident voices at the dais in making decisions. And because of the sunshine laws, our council is not able to have meaningful conversations about anything we may vote on outside of a noticed, recorded public meeting. And so it's important for the mayor to set the tone of collaboration, respect, consensus building, and really dealing with all the facts of a decision when we're on that dais. And I want to be the one to set that tone and welcome that collaboration and encourage it.
If someone wanted to contact you, I know you mentioned that you have a website. How can they reach out to you as a resident of the city of Clearwater to be able to say, I have a voice, I need you to hear something? How can they do that?
I think the best way is to reach me at my council email, which is kathleen.beckman@myclearwater.com. If you want to learn more about my run for mayor, you can go to beckmanformayor.com. I have a website. But really, I think emailing me individually, if you want to sit down and have coffee and chat, do a walk and talk, I can learn about your concerns. I'm open for that as much as my schedule permits, which I can squeeze it in anytime.
Well, thank you, my sister, for coming on to the show and for introducing yourself to our listening audience. And to you, my listening audience, I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Wake Up with Edie Darling with our guest, Councilwoman Kathleen Beckman. If you have a unique story of how you or your community turned a negative situation around through faith, hope, and love, I would like to hear from you. Email me at awakenyourdormantgifts@gmail.com. Please don't forget to follow me on social media. Also, if you feel your community, business, organization, or government entity are stuck and can't seem to move forward for the sake of all, and you desire a peaceful resolution, I am here for you. Now, before we close out this episode, I would like to leave you with this parting prayer. Most gracious and loving Father, we come before you as humbly as we can, seeking you right now. You know the needs of your people. Your people are hurting, crying, and are simply lost without you. Reintroduce yourself to your people, Lord. Teach us your ways. Reveal yourself to us like only you can. Open our eyes to receive your truth, that truth that which sets captives free. For whom the Son sets free is free indeed. Like Saul, later renamed Paul in the Bible, may we have a road to Damascus encounter with you on life's journey. Distinguish your voice from that of our own so that we may clearly know the shepherd's voice. Awaken our gifts, Lord. May we use our gifts to glorify you. May we never become jealous of the gifts of others, but to always encourage one another to be uniquely you, for we are wonderfully made in your image. Guide our leaders, Lord. May they have a heart of service that is pleasing unto you. Build our leaders up daily, protect them, humble them, and reassure them that you are there every step of the way to guide them along the way. Father, we pray. Amen.